approach today's security brief a little bit differently. It's going to be more like I'm teaching. Hey, Devante. So I'm going to wait for a few more people to get in the room before today's class commences. I'm going to, I've decided to do a compare and contrast with the tone of the Trump administration's national security strategy against the Biden-Harris national security strategy in 2022, I do believe. Is it 2022? Yeah, October 2022. Uh, the Trump administration released its national security strategy. I do believe I saw it last month, 2025. Well, it only recently came out, but it has November's date on it. So let me give you all some context. Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Nola. I am a political scientist. I'm a political scientist that's focused more on international relations. Now, what does that mean? I do something called security studies. So the work that I do typically focuses on weapons and wars, but not just weapons and wars, but like the things we have in place. Say, for instance, if the United States does get involved with the war, what are the legal parameters in which the United States can operate inside of that war, of said war, right? I do specifically something called arms control. My research focuses on arms control in the context of outer space. I'm not getting into that in this particular um, live, but I just wanted to give you some context as to why, me sitting here reading the national security, going through the national security strategy makes sense. It's easy for me to say that I do national security and foreign policy, but specifically what I do is more international security. How about keeping the world safe? Like, what levers are in place to ensure that happens? Okay, so the first thing I noticed going through this, as a person who has been a part of writing high-level reports such as these, the first thing I noticed with the Trump administration's report is comparing it to the Biden administration's national security strategy that dropped October 12th, 2022, is the tone and how it's written. The first page of the Trump administration's national security strategy says, "My fellow Americans, over the past 9 months, we have brought our nation and the world back from the brink of catastrophe and disaster." That is a bona fide lie. And that is the very first sentence. So it's already telling us that the narrative is going to be untrue and bombastic, right? If anything, we are actually closer to the brink of catastrophe and disaster on multiple fronts, to say nothing of the economy. But in terms of our global standing, in terms of our reputation, in terms of our credibility, all of those things have been worsened in these now 11 months that they are bragging about. Okay. The second sentence. After 4 years of weakness, extremism, and deadly failures, my administration has moved with urgency and historic speed to restore American strength at home and abroad and bring peace and stability to our world. The second sentence is also a lie. Extremism, when all the January 6th insurrectionists are pardoned. Extremism, where unemployment is at an all-time high, so much so that this administration has to hide job numbers. So much so that over 300,000 Black women have been pushed out of the workforce, and we are not being picked back up in private industry. Extreme racism, xenophobia, sexism are at all-time highs. The current president is underwater in every single category you can imagine. This is an attempt to try to rewrite history. This is an attempt to rewrite history. The third sentence: no administration in history has achieved so dramatic a turnaround in so short a time. I would agree with that. And also, I want to talk about the kind of grammatical choices that they're using here. I genuinely feel like one of my students put a prompt in AI, and this is what came out. There's no sophistication, there's no elegance. And for some of you AI sleuths out there, it is riddled in M dashes. So y'all do what y'all want with that. M dashes everywhere, y'all. So I don't know if a person or AI wrote this, but it's M dashes everywhere. Yes. So this administration, I will agree, has come in historically hot and heavy to do all the wrong things. They came in here and broke everything, talking about, oh, we've identified a problem, try to fix problems that were non-existent, and now we have even bigger problems. So yes, they came in here with the quickness, y'all, and they broke up all y'all's dishes. And as my good friend Reese Colbert likes to remind people, with the White House sitting out there with his ass hanging out, literally. We are looking crazy to the world. To say nothing of these continued boat strikes that no one has authorized. No one. That the current Secretary of Defense keeps bragging about. Representative Hines the other day, when he came out of that briefing, honey, he looked shook, because he saw the footage of those boat strikes. No, this is not a positive course correction. No, you're not restoring American greatness. No, you are not undoing something that didn't need redoing in the first place. You are destroying history, legacy. Now, here's the thing. Siri, nobody is talking to you. Nobody. Now, here's the thing. Did a lot of the international system need fixing? Absolutely. And you know where I sit on the side of that institutional argument? And it's bearing out today. We have too many norms and not enough laws that are codified. And a person like Donald Trump and people that support him, they know how to exploit those norms that are not laws. All right, let's continue. So this national security strategy says in the fourth sentence, starting on my first day in office, we restored the sovereign borders of the United States and deployed the U.S. military to stop the invasion of our country. Y'all. That's the fourth sentence. That's the fourth lie. That's the third lie. Restored the sovereign borders? Were we being invaded? I moved from California. I was in and out of San Diego and Mexico all the time, y'all. Were we being invaded? Oh, right, by the Haitians who eat dogs, maybe. We were being invaded by them. Mm. Fifth sentence. We got radical gender ideology and woke lunacy out of our armed forces and began strengthening our military with a $1 trillion investment. So, in other words, we got policies out of there where people that look like me can feel safe and protected. Because I will never know this. My mom is gone and dead, and she took her oath very seriously, so she never discussed anything with me. But I think something really bad happened to my mom in the Army. I think something really bad happened to quite a few women that I know in the Army. One woman I know specifically something bad happened to her because she tells the world about it. She's out there talking about it. So provisions, policies to make people feel safe. Welcome. That you belong here. The thing that pisses me off about this rhetoric around diversity, equity, and inclusion, anti-woke, is that somehow just because you are not white, you don't belong. You're not smart enough. You're not American enough. This is racist. And that's the thing when people repeat these talking points. Do you know how insulting it is to have your entire identity to be boiled down to woke or DEI because you're black or brown or a woman? And we are seeing in real time what incompetence looks like. Pete Hegseth was a weekend host on Fox News. Where is his... Don't even get me started because I respect the military so much. I respect the people who have committed their lives to serving this country honorably. I'm not talking about some dark, conspiracy theory, kind of like everything the American military does is bad, awful, and evil. That's not true. You know why I know that's not true? Because I know a lot of these people. And I know for a fact my parents served this country honorably. Now let's go over to the 2022. Let's just take a little peek at what was being talked about in the Biden national security strategy. Let's see how that rhetoric is. Let's see how that language is. I think I went through 5 sentences at the beginning. For those of you who are just joining, hi, everybody. What I'm doing is I'm kind of treating this like a lecture. So what's important here is context, right? It's kind of getting into their narrative setting. And so far, I've read 5 sentences of Trump's national security strategy. And so far, there are 4 identifiable lies. And the only reason why I'm saying it's not 5 lies is because technically the sentence said that this administration came in and did things quick and fast. That is true at our detriment, though. That's the part they left out. So, okay, let's take a look at what the Biden administration was talking about in 2022 in its national security strategy. From the earliest days of my presidency, I have argued that the world is at an inflection point. That's true. How we respond to the tremendous challenges and unprecedented opportunities we face today will determine the direction of our world and impact the security and prosperity of American people for generations to come. That's true and very presidential. It doesn't seem like it was ran through AI by a freshman. The 2022 National Security Strategy outlines how my administration will seize this decisive decade to advance America's vital interests, position the United States to outmaneuver our geopolitical competitors, tackle shared challenges, and set our world firmly on a path towards a brighter and more hopeful tomorrow. You know what this doesn't say? It doesn't go after the administration that came before it. It doesn't paint this horrific picture of an America that is on the brink of destruction. It doesn't give this fatalistic, dark rendering of America's standing. It's about hope. It's about tomorrow. It goes on to say, around the world, the need for American leadership is as great as it has ever been. We are in the midst of strategic competition to shape the future of the international order. Meanwhile, shared challenges that impact people everywhere demand increased global cooperation and nations stepping up to their responsibilities at a moment when this has become more difficult. Now, in the Trump national security strategy, it would have you believe that the former administration, and I imagine other administrations outside of his first one, of course, um, that this idea of shared responsibility is somehow a weakness. I disagree. I posted on my threads how when I first, went through Trump's national security strategy, the first thing that I thought about was this class that I TA'd for years in my PhD program. It was the history of international relations. And that class was focused on, not focused, but it started pretty much with the Treaty of Westphalia, 1648. The Treaty of Westphalia signifies the end of 30 years of consecutive fighting in Europe. One of the reasons we have the current liberal order, the current institutions such as the UN, World Health Organization, institutions like that, because so much war was happening around the world. It's a reason why the last administration put so many resources towards stopping Russia in Ukraine. Can you imagine 30 years of continual fighting? So 1648, sovereignty is established. That's one of the takeaways from Westphalia. There were some other important discoveries too, concepts of collective security, i.e. NATO. NATO wasn't talked about and put together in 1648. But what I'm saying is these kind of seeds were being planted, the foundation for balance of power, which is a theory we use to think about the world quite a bit in international relations. I'm going to stop here and get into some of these questions. Let's see. Neurodivergent Hodgepodge said, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Hi, Corinne. Hi, Susan. Hi, Think Deep. Any questions from folks? Because I've kind of said a lot. And for some of y'all who are just now joining, what I'm doing is kind of like literally reading word for word, the national security strategy that the Trump administration just released and comparing um, the 2022 national security strategy from the Biden administration. I'm not going through the whole thing now. My whole reason for doing this is to provide context, to talk about tone, and to talk about the narrative setting that basically what the Trump administration is doing is trying to recreate history. They're trying to create a narrative that everything was on fire and they came out and they corrected the ship. They course corrected. That is unbelievably untrue. Okay. So moving down to the table of contents. One of the comments that I made about this national security strategy, it looks like one of my freshmen did this in AI. I'm not kidding. I'm not saying it to be mean. I'm saying if you submitted this to me, we're going to have a conversation about who the author was. Because just on the cursory read of the two strategies, one is elevated, well thought out. The other, not so much. And that is the problem. These are the types of lazy products we are getting. Lazy product after lazy product after lazy product. There is nothing lazy about security and defense. It deserves the kind of intellectual responsibility and not something that looked like it just was spit out in AI. And like I said, for some of y'all that's just joining, for some of y'all like AI conspiracy theorists out there, honey, M dash is all over this thing. So if y'all want to equate M dashes with AI, is lit. So the table of contents for the Trump administration says things like introduction, what is American strategy? And then they talk about strategy, they define strategy. I'm very big on defining what things are. Complicated things, complicated ideas. I'm really big on making sure people know what we're talking about. But to like define strategy and a national security strategy, to like define the word, like, okay, got it. All right. I'm gonna just go ahead and leave that there. Okay. So table of contents, it says introduction, what is American strategy? How American strategy went astray. President Trump's necessary welcome correction. Number 2, what should the United States want? What do we want overall? What do we want in and from the world? What are Americans' available means to get what we want? Strategy, principles, priorities, the regions. They break it down to Western Hemisphere, Asia, Europe, the Middle East, Africa. And that's it. That's the table of contents. I guess it's all about what we want, not how we can be helpful and useful to our fellow global citizens around the world. It's about what we want. All right. Table of contents for the Biden-Harris administration is almost a page and a half long because it was written by responsible, intellectual adults and professionals who understand how important security and defense is. So this table of contents looks very different. No, Emily Dickinson did not use AI. Neither did Toni Morrison, James Baldwin. We can go on and on. But I'm pretty sure the current administration, to outline our national security strategy, AI was involved. Okay. So the Biden table of contents, very elegant. And no, I had nothing to do with that strategy. So I am not saying that because I am biased, just FYI. I'm saying that as somebody who has written these high level reports before. So I'm just putting that out there. Part 1, the competition for what comes next, our enduring vision, our enduring role, the nature of the competition between democracies and autocracies, cooperating to address shared challenges in an era of competition. And then they have an overview of their strategic approach. That's just part 1. So we have words like enduring, vision, our role, understanding competition between democracies and autocracies, not domination, cooperation, shared challenges. Trump administration's national security strategy does not use words like that. It doesn't talk about shared visions and goals. It talks about what we want, what the United States want, as if we have not extracted enough from around the world, as if the United States do not have enough. This national security strategy is about our wants, not how we can be of service. You see the difference? You see the difference? So part 1 of this says, it's titled Introduction, What is American Strategy? So it doesn't say what American strategy is. It defines the word strategy. I will, if you don't believe me, here we go. To ensure that America remains the world's strongest, richest, and most powerful and most successful country for decades to come, our country needs a coherent, focused strategy for how we interact with the world. And to get that right, all Americans need to know what exactly it is we're trying to do and why. Now, you would think the next paragraph would go into said strategy. or or to give us some context of how they came up with their theory or their formula for their new strategy. Nope. The second paragraph says a strategy is a concrete, realistic plan that explains the essential connection between ends and means. Child, you running up in here with this juvenile ass explanation of strategy? I am insulted as an academic, as a strategist, as a person who can read. And then the third paragraph continues to insult your intelligence, Americans. It continues to tell you what a strategy is, not what their American strategy is, but what a strategy is. A strategy must evaluate, sort, and prioritize. Okay. And then it goes into a little bit of background about what they say American strategies have been since the Cold War. And then it goes on to continue to complain. I am at the second to last paragraph in the introduction. Our elites badly miscalculated America's willingness to shoulder forever global burdens to which the American people saw no connection to the national interest. Also categorically untrue. Um, I'm going to read the last sentence of this section. In sum, not only did our elites pursue a fundamentally undesirable and impossible goal, in doing so, they undermine the very means necessary to achieve that goal, the character of our nation upon which its power, wealth, and decency were built. Never once, not once, telling us what an American strategy is. Not once referencing, citing, pulling from any sort of, scholarly thinking that's out there. No references, no citation, just pulling it out of thin air. Lying. Now, there are some things in here that does talk about, not everything has gone to plan and perfectly after the Cold War. Absolutely not. It has not. If you talk to my friends in nuclear security, they will tell you how, in many ways, we've gotten a lot wrong regarding our nuclear security regime. And not with just those weapons of mass destruction. So, yes, not everything went smoothly, but I think it's fair to say you can claim that about anything. But this is just the introduction, y'all. We haven't even gotten into the regions, and I'm not going to break that down. More of you all are joining. Hi, Michael. Hi, Joker Speaks, and Arlene. So this is just the introduction. So y'all can hear the tone shift, right? There's no more language of collaboration. There's no more language of shared responsibility. This language is bullish. Some people will say it's a pragmatism, it's a realism, it's a sort of realism. I think it is too basic in its overall understanding of the world. And to say nothing of just literally how it's written. Like I'm not shocked that the product isn't an elegant product. I'm disappointed. I'm not shocked. I'm just disappointed. And I'm tired. I'm tired of it. You know, the world of security and defense is no joke. And to see what blatantly looks like an AI product to me. And I mean like a lazy AI product. Because I mean, if you really wanted to, you could make this look more sophisticated. But they simply didn't want to. This how they wanted. They thought this was quality. I'm going to stop here again and to see if there are any questions. You're very welcome. Any curiosities or questions, or have I helped any of you to understand what the national security strategy is and some kind of key differences and approaches? I'm going to do another part of this. I'm going to probably break this down into 3 parts because I want to go through all of this the way that I went through the introduction, because um, it's easy for people on the right to say someone like me would be naturally bothered by the national security strategy simply because it's coming out of the Trump administration. That's actually not true. I've been waiting for this. I told my students, oh, thank you, I appreciate it, and thank you for watching Roland Martin. Um, these strategies are how all of the agencies do their work, right? You get the guidance from the administration, and then you go off, and then you try to implement those policies throughout whatever the agency's portfolios are, and they are vast. So this is the motivation, the recipe. And what's in this recipe is danger. It's not talking about leading within the realities of the world. And what do I mean by that? As Russia continues to torment Ukraine, um, as we see displays of 2 countries supposedly sitting, at the desk signing peace treaties when fighting is still going on. And I'm specifically referring to that thing with the Congolese president. Anyway, these strategies are who we present ourselves to be to the world. This is what America is saying. This is who we are, right? This is what we think about you. This is how we want to do business with you. This is how we want to partner with you. This is a very dark vision of the future. And it's very clear because I think in the 4th sentence, the way it talks about gender ideology, wokeness, they think they're using this language intentionally. Hey girl, my boo from Germany. Hey boo. Where they are using the actual language and tools from oppressed people to further oppress us. And they've gotten away with it. The reason why there are things like women, peace, and security, certain diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, is so someone like me can be sitting in the room. Because without those programs, someone like me is not sitting in the room. And even with those programs, we still only have like 1 or 2 sitting in the rooms. And then we don't actually always get a chance to be impactful. We can be seen, but our ideas being listened to and applied. That's a whole nother conversation about the so-called seat at the table, honey. And I'm gonna get into that another time. But this national security strategy does not see a place for Americans that look like me. And that was just going through the introduction. Can't wait to get to their strategy for Africa. Anyhow, y'all, I've been on here way too long. I'm so grateful for all of you who hopped on. Um, yeah, it has been long. I'm sorry, girl. Like, holidays are tough for me. For some of you who don't know, my mom passed November 23rd, 2023. So the holidays are very challenging for me, with Thanksgiving being a few days later, and then my birthday being a few weeks after that, and then Christmas. Like, the holidays are, a bit rough for me, but I've been putting my head down. I have 3 book chapters that's coming out. Thank you. I appreciate it. I have 3 book chapters that's coming out on space security. I'm so excited. One is policy based, the other 2 are more theory based. So I've been, working. And then the work that I do with women of color advancing peace and security. And then, all of my media stuff. So I've been busy, uh, but I needed a little bit of a social media break. And I'm still low key trying to take that break. But in this chaotic administration, it's hard to do. Like, I legit didn't want to be on social media until January. Like, I'm not even kidding. Um, but so many of you, and I appreciate y'all wanting to hear from me when this stuff happened with, when more information came out about Venezuela and then a national security strategy dropped, and I knew that I had to come and say something because everybody named Mama was gonna, you know, people become national security experts overnight on social media. So I just wanted to make sure that I offered some kind of um, observation, analytical positioning, some sort of framing, some sort of context. And I'm going to dig deeper into it. But I just wanted to go step by step in the introduction, just so you all could the rhetoric, right? Like the rhetoric, the shift in tone, the vision. That's what I wanted to capture here today. The next one of these I'll do in the next couple of days. We're going to go through the kind of policy areas regarding the different regions. But with that, thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate y'all so much. You have no idea. Um, I'm going to be doing a lot more here. Different things that are happening. So I'm still here, y'all. I'm here for y'all. And I'm just grateful for those of you who continue to amplify my work. There are a lot of folks out there that um, are, that have larger profiles than mine. And sometimes my little voice gets lost in the shuffle. So for those of you who amplify my work, who believe in me, who trust me, I am so grateful to you all. Because it is so important to me to bring accurate information to you all, which is why I sat here and read line for line the introductions of these national security strategies, just so you all can know that I'm on the up and up. And oh, thank you so much. Education is my ministry, and I do believe that that's part of a patriot's duty. So thank you for that. That would make my mom happy reading that sentence. So I'm gonna let y'all go on this Saturday. I don't know where y'all are around the world. I'm in the DMV. It's cold here. It's not as gray as it was yesterday. Where are some of y'all? Where are some of y'all from? Devontae, I know where you from. Keisha, I know where you from, girl. I know where you at. Wait, how is the weather in Germany right now? Y'all not gonna tell me where y'all listening from? All right. Dang. Dang. It's cold and wet. Mm. North Carolina. What's the weather like in North Carolina? I mean, which is only like 3 hours away, so I'm sure it's probably pretty similar. Yeah, pretty similar to here. Wet. Yeah. If it snowed more yesterday, y'all, I would have made a snowman. Like, I was outside cute with my little fur hood. Like, oh, it's the first snow of the year, y'all. I was so excited. It's the simple things for me. All right, y'all know, but for real, I'm not gonna hold y'all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Video is slower than chat. Oh, okay. I'm not gonna hold y'all, but thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for amplifying my content. Thank y'all for supporting me. I am so grateful. So next time we're gonna pick this up, and we're gonna get into. I'm gonna do the regional breakdowns to see what the policy or ideological issues are there. So anyhow, bye y'all.